Hey, this is Lady and I'm back with another video. Today's video will be another book talk. I recently finished Stand Your Ground by Victoria Christopher Murray. Here is the book. This is Stand Your Ground by Victoria Christopher Murray. I've read quite a few of her books through the years and I've always enjoyed her writing. Stand Your Ground is broken up into 4 parts. The main character, I would say, is the victim's mother, who is Janice. Her son, a 17-year-old boy, Marquise, was shot and killed by a white man named Wyatt. The second part of the book, we are introduced to Wyatt's wife, who is Meredith. And the third part of the book, it goes back and forth between Janice and Meredith telling the story. Then you have the very end, you hear from the shooter, Wyatt. Marquise is a 17-year-old boy who was hanging out with his girlfriend, who I feel like I should mention. She was white from a affluent community, and while sitting in the car with her, his car is approached by Wyatt because they are parked in front of his car. From his girl side friend side of the story, they are sitting there eating before he takes her home, and Wyatt states that they were causing noise, and he thought that the girl was in danger and she was crying. When he knocked on the window and asked the girl if she was okay, she said she was. Well, argument ensues between Marquise and Wyatt. Marquise gets out of the car and he's shot and killed. That's the synopsis of the story. That is not a spoiler, I believe. There are several different themes in this story. First one being the marriages. Like, she didn't really focus too much on the law, stand your ground. She focused on the lives of the people. Janice, and Taylor is the victim's parents, and their marriage is surviving an infidelity. You'll learn more about that if you read the book. Wyatt and Meredith is the type of, trophy wife type situation, marriage that's going on between them, and there's also a secret there. And that's very interesting. To tell you what the stand your ground law is, I wrote it down. It says it's remove the duty to retreat before using force in self-defense, allowing people to stand their ground instead of retreating if a person reasonably believes doing so will prevent death or great bodily harm. And we've had this police brutality, and with the George Zimmerman and the Trayvon Martin trial, we know what this law is, and if you don't, I strongly suggest you look into it. Well, in this book, a lot of focus is on the media. The media plays a big role because what do they do a lot of times, and this is so realistic, and what we see happen is the media and the defendant and his attorneys try to say this child come from this family. They use the new term for nigger, which is thug these days. We all know that's 2015 word now, thug. And they uncover, the parents dealing with infidelity, the uncle who has some issues, and they bring about those things and harp on those things and say that this was a bad kid and that's why he ended up dead or whatever. But it just amazes me how the media can spin things, and it also amazes me how we as the public so quickly begins to believe those things. So the media itself is a character in the book, along with the attorney and things when it goes to trial. Another theme I believe is in this book, what she talks about, is like the life after tragedy. What do you do as a mother who loses a child? How do you live after that? And the main character, Janet, she keeps going through that. Well, before this incident happened, this is how I would respond, but now this is how I respond. The ending was okay. I would recommend this book with so much, just with so much going on, I would recommend people read it. I was speaking with a fellow booktuber, and she and I were talking about this book in comparison to Daughter, which I did do a review on that, and I would suggest you look it out. The author Aisha Bandeli, she did an awesome job in being emotional, getting into the emotion part of it more so than what Victoria Christopher Murray did with this book, because it was more so the others drama, you know, that took place that was given a bigger part in the book. And this book, I enjoyed it for what it was and what I'm used to reading from Victoria Christopher Murray. I like that it gave both sides of the story, how she tried to think about what that family of the shooter, how did their life change after this. You know, sometimes we get that point of view and sometimes we do not. I would just like to say as well, with what's going on with the brutality and this Black Lives Matters campaign versus now there's a campaign called All Lives Matter. I would just like to say that we know all lives matter. We know every human being has value, but the reason there is now a Black Lives Matter campaign is because recent events are questioning whether there is value to Black life when they are so easily shot down, and when our white counterparts are in those same situations, they are able to go to trial. They don't get pulled over for a speeding ticket and are arrested and never leave the jail cell. Okay, so that's why there's a need for a Black Lives Matter campaign. And I just really hate the whole all lives matter. What, you feel you're left out? We know your life matter. We know all lives matter. We do know that, but there's a need for a Black Lives Matter campaign considering current events. And that's just all I have to say about that. And one other thing I like to say is this isn't new to the African American community. These things that are happening is not new. This is something that is being faced for years. There has never not been a time when Black people didn't have to face these things, but thanks to smartphones, thanks to social media, we're actually seeing these videos, we're seeing these pictures, and it's getting out there for people to see. Black people, African American people, we have always been the talk that you give to your teenage boys, maybe about sex, Black mothers are having to give the talk of how to act when you come into contact with a police officer. I'm pretty much sure that is not a conversation that's being had in a lot of white homes, okay? But, okay, enough of the rant. This is my book talk on Stand Your Ground by Victoria Christopher Murray. I did enjoy it. It was a fast read, like a day or two. You know, I would just recommend you all give it a try. You know, everybody has a different taste, so just check it out and let me know what you think. Again, this is Lady. This has been another book talk, and I thank you for watching. Bye.